Hi guys and welcome to a new series called, What If Ichigo Got Ultra Instinct? I'm sorry I haven't been uploading. I've been in my feelings plus I got work and school to balance out. But now I'm back and ready to give you guys something you'll like for a while. If you like the video, be sure to subscribe and like the video. Now, let's begin. No, I can't die yet. I just can't. I need to save Rukia before she dies. Come on, I need to move, said an injured Ichigo trying to hold on to dear life so he could keep fighting. Ichigo was in such bad shape that he couldn't even get up to his knees. Kenpachi was walking away from the defeated warrior in disappointment. The world around him went gray as a person with a long red trench coat with rips at the bottom appeared. He also had red hair and some glasses. He was walking towards the fallen protagonist. He stopped a few feet away from Ichigo. Ichigo was puzzled at what was happening. He had never seen this person before. Do you want to fight? Do you want to win? Or do you just want to survive? Choose, said old man Zangetsu. Ichigo gathered his thoughts for the question asked by the powerful entity. Surviving isn't that much of a motivation now, fighting for its own sake is pathetic and meaningless. I want to win. Winning is all that matters to me, exclaimed Ichigo in response. Ichigo then gets teleported by the mysterious figure to another world. Ichigo noticed that he was standing on the side of a building, so he fell on his back so he didn't fall. Why are you lying on your back? Asked Zangetsu. Ichigo answers by saying that if he stood, he'd plummet to his death. The figure tells him that this world is his own and tells him that he won't fall. The only reason Ichigo fell the first time was because of the hollow transformation that impacted its stability. It's different because the world doesn't quiver since everything is solid now. Ichigo still doesn't trust the random person even when he tells him that this state of mind is normal for him. Stand up, Ichigo, said Zangetsu. The figure tosses an unsheathed sword at Ichigo, which makes him panic. Ichigo quickly rose to his feet and caught the sword. Are you insane? I could have sliced off my hand. At least warn me that there wasn't a cover for the sword, yelled Ichigo directed at Zangetsu. Hold on to it, it's your sword. It's a Zanpakuto, a sword for lower-ranked soul reapers who are unworthy of joining the 13 court squads, said Zangetsu. Hold on, this isn't my sword, my true sword is Zangetsu, said the orange-haired brat. Oh Zangetsu, you mean this sword that was broken by your opponent in battle? You mean this sword I have here? Said Zangetsu while holding the sword in his hand, which surprised the teen. You are unfit to use my power and my blade. I won't allow it, said Zangetsu before tossing the blade aside. Ichigo was confused about Zangetsu's action until he heard someone telling him to move out of the way. The person looked and sounded like Ichigo, but he was painted in black and white. He took Zangetsu's sword for himself. Who are you? Asked Ichigo. You know me pretty well, partner, said the white and black lookalike. For you to wield me again, you must take the sword back for yourself, that is the test. Begin, declared Zangetsu. The Ichigo lookalike jumps and hits Ichigo with a giant slash attack. Ichigo blocks the attack, but he still gets knocked back a few feet. It was at this moment that Ichigo realized that Zangetsu was more than what meets the eye. It was a powerful sword indeed, and its spiritual pressure is burning the air up. Ichigo's sword was more like a wooden stick, so it was quite useless. The Ichigo look-alike began spinning the Zangetsu with its cloth. It was truly amazing to Ichigo. The look-alike proceeded to chuck the sword at the main character, but Ichigo dodged, surprising the clone. What's wrong? You're scared? You have that awesome sword yet you got pushed back, you're pathetic. Tell me, does a stranger become your friend just because you called their name? asked the lookalike. Ichigo was puzzled by what he meant. You think you mastered your sword by calling its name? How pathetic. Like most people, you think you just need to train yourself. Ichigo was thinking of what the clone said. He was just using Zangetsu without an understanding of its true power. He was using it without knowing its purpose or life. He was blinded by arrogance, so he wasn't any way different from Kenpachi. Enough. Let's end it. I'll show you the true mastery of Zangetsu. Someone you couldn't do even if you die trying, said the clone while lunging at Ichigo with one final attack. I'm sorry Zangetsu, I was so blinded by my pride and arrogance that I didn't see your true power. Show me, Master, show me everything about you. Even if I'm not worthy, please lend me your power, said Ichigo as he blocked the last attack from the clone. To both the clone's surprise, Ichigo blocked the attack with his sword, but his sword was tinted with a silver fire aura. Ichigo had his eyes closed when he stopped the attack. Even Zangetsu was surprised. He gave the Zangetsu's power back to Ichigo, but somehow it's way different from last time. He feels that his spiritual pressure is so calm and steady, getting stronger than before. Thank you, Zangetsu, said Ichigo before returning to the real world. So that's it, huh? Guess my job is done. Can I go back now? Asked the clone Zangetsu. The clone gets teleported away as Zangetsu assures Ichigo that he'll fight by his side forever and figure out the newfound power he attained. Kenpachi was walking away from Ichigo's body when he sensed a skyrocketing amount of spiritual pressure behind him. A geyser of light appeared behind himself coming from where Ichigo was. Basically how Goku from Dragon Ball unlocked Ultra Instinct the first time. What the hell is going on? Questioned Kenpachi in his mind. As the geyser of light dispersed, it uncovered Ichigo, who had a sliver fire aura radiating some serious pressure. He was just dying. How did he get this type of strength? I thought he didn't have any more power within him, so what's with this new look? Ichigo had his eyes closed until he opened them. He had a silver glow in his eyes that kinda matches his aura. His sword looked a lot smaller compared to his regular Zangetsu. What happened to that wound on his chest? What's with this strong energy from him? Kenpachi puts his arms to shield himself from the strong wind a little. The aura calmed down around Ichigo as he sliced the air in front of him. Kenpachi was bewildered at first until he got cut 2 times around his chest. This was surprising to him. Ichigo cut him from so far away, and not only that, but he did cut him effectively this time. Ichigo disappeared right beside the crazy captain as he tried to go for the head. Kenpachi dodged it but barely. He scratched his face. Hee, this is no longer a fight, this is a death battle. Kenpachi tries to strike the Soul Reaper, but Ichigo dodges all of his strikes like it was casual to him. Kenpachi was enjoying this fight. He hasn't been this excited for a while. He feels like he finally found someone equal to him. Ichigo kicks the captain back a few feet. You're good, kid, but now that means I don't have to hold back anymore, said Kenpachi as he took off the eye patch he was wearing, releasing even more power. Ichigo was using his arm to block some of the air pressure winds radiating off the geyser of light Kenpachi's spiritual pressure created. Ichigo began charging his power as well. This was like how Kefla and Goku were ramping up their energy against each other for their showdown. The pressure was so strong that it was felt everywhere in the Soul Society. What the hell is that? Is that Kenpachi's energy? No, it's not just his energy I'm sensing. The person he's with is increasing their power at an insane rate. Both of them probably want the best for each other. I can hardly sense a limit to the spiritual pressures, said Shunsui. He just defeated said aka Chad. He was looking over to where the fight was and wondering who Kenpachi was fighting and how strong were they to force Kenpachi to go all out. Rukia even sensed it and she was surprised by the pressure of the energy. She was having a hard time believing that two people could be this strong. Whoa, this guy is so strong and their powers are growing insanely. How could it be that he was this strong? This could be bad for Kenny if this continues, said Yakiru mentally, and she was watching the fight as well, but she was fighting to worry for Kenpachi. Back to the fight, Kenpachi used his sword to slice the wind, cutting a building in half and causing it to fall. Some of the nearby walls and buildings were starting to crack and fall apart from the strong pressures. Both of the fighters' energies were clashing with each other as they combined to create a dome around them. All of the Soul Reapers were able to sense the fight and some were able to see it because of the torn-up walls. They stopped what they were doing and were trying to keep track of the fight. Even then, the Soul Reapers that could see the fight didn't want to approach since they would get crushed by the energy pressures and they were weaker than the fighters, so they would get easily killed. You're probably secretly shaking in your boots about where I got my new energy. Well, this eye patch I have eats huge amounts of energy from the wearer. The friendly gloves are off, I'm going to enjoy killing you, said Kenpachi. Ichigo closed his eyes and started breathing slowly. As he did this, he heard screaming coming from Kenpachi's position. Ichigo, do you hear that? It's his sword crying. It's unstable because they don't trust each other. His strength and that sword are now useless. You know what to do, Ichigo. Ichigo stops charging up and stands ready to fight, and Kenpachi then does the same. Ichigo's aura was starting to flash on and off slowly. Ichigo was becoming tired from the overwhelming power he had. He knew he had to end this fight quickly, otherwise things would go south. Zangetsu, allow yourself to show me the way of this power we found together, please. You think using the borrowed power of your sword will save you from me? Don't be an idiot. Your approach is that of a weakling. That isn't my approach. I'll show you my true power. Die, you weakling, said Kenpachi as he charged at Ichigo. Ichigo charged at Kenpachi with a goal in his mind to defeat him. With one final strike, the area became engulfed in light. Sorry, my friends, said Ichigo as his silver aura and energy faded away. Kenpachi and Ichigo passed out in pain. Kenpachi was in pain due to blood loss and injuries, and Ichigo for the power he used. Shortly afterward, Kenpachi regained consciousness. Why did you say you're sorry? You almost killed me. You got so much power within you. You are my favorite enemy so far, he said before passing out again. The little girl walked over to both of their injured bodies. Thank you so much, Kenny. Had a good time fighting you, Inchi. Try to stay alive so Kenny can fight you again, okay? Said the little girl as he held Kenpachi over her shoulder and parkoured out of there. Ichigo was glad that he won, but he had no strength left, so he passed out. That battle was intense. I wonder if Ichigo is still alive, asked Hantataro to Ganju. I don't know, but we have to keep moving. We have to keep moving no matter what. Ganju proceeds to swing a grappling hook around, but it snaps off and lands near Hanataro, leaving a crater. Hantataro yells at Ganju for almost killing him. Inside Rukia's cell, she was surprised about what was happening outside the cell. The monstrous energy signatures caught her attention. She couldn't believe that someone was that powerful. She was still sad that people were fighting over her safety and execution. Back to Hantataro and Ganju. Ganju managed to tie the grappling hook back on, but he accidentally tied Hantataro and the hook together. Since they didn't have a lot of time, Ganju proceeded to throw both of them even against Hantataro's plea. Back to Ichigo's body, Yorichi was right next to him. That was quite amazing, Ichigo. I never knew you were that powerful. How could you have become that powerful in such a short amount of time? Doesn't matter. Since you proved your worth, I won't let you die. Yoruichi told Ichigo. Back to Kenpachi. He finally woke up, which made Yakiru happy that he was alive since she was worried that Ichigo could have killed him with that power he used. Yakiru happily said that Kenpachi won, but Kenpachi said that it was the other way around. Yakiru said that Zangetsu was giving Ichigo power, so Kenpachi technically won, but that wasn't it in Kenpachi's eyes. Kenpachi picked up his Zanpakuto and asked his sword what its name was. The sword didn't answer, so it sucked for him. Kenpachi wanted to get stronger after that fight. Kenpachi blacked out after that, which made Yakiru cry. There were 2 low-ranked Soul Reapers keeping guard at a base. Unfortunately, the spiritual pressures from both Kenpachi and Ichigo knocked them out. This made it easy for both Hantataro, who was also knocked out, and Ganju to sneak past them undetected. Hantataro never used the tranquilizer potion he had, and he didn't use the key. Ganju lays down Hantataro and tries to wake him up. Hantataro wakes up just fine. After that, Ganju asks him if he has a way of opening the door. To his surprise, Hantataro had a way in. He had a key on him he stole last night. I want to help save Rukia. You guys are doing most of the work and I've been sidelined this whole time. I'm going to help wherever I can, said Hantataro. Ganju assures him that he did all that he could do. We're going to timeskip here to Rukia's brother's appearance. We're going over parts that would change the most because of Ichigo and his freshly discovered power. The story goes the same from Ganju almost killing Rukia because she killed his older brother, to the point where they encounter Byakuya Kuchiki, Rukia's older brother. Inside a secret house on the Sokyoku hill of the Seraiti, Ichigo was resting so he could recover his strength. Ichigo finally woke up from his slumber. Where am I? Ichigo wondered in his mind. Finally you're awake. You showed amazing power. What was that? Asked Yoruichi. I have no idea. I met my Zangetsu again, but I don't know what was going on. Zangetsu gave me his power, but after that, I don't know, I just did it without a second thought. After saying that, Ichigo's eyes widened at the fact that he might be in danger. He tried to get up, but his muscles were a little stressed out. Hold still and rest up. Your muscles and energy are nowhere near your full power. You're not even a threat anymore. You'll be easier to kill now. You're lucky that you didn't get cut or injured by Kenpachi with how strong he is. Your team is okay. Only Chad was downed. Real quick, to me, I don't think Yoruichi would have found the mask if Ichigo hadn't gotten injured. So that part is skipped over. Despite that, Ichigo still tried to leave until Yoruichi threatened him that he'd kill him before he got outside. Rest now. End of discussion. You might have amazing spiritual pressure energy, but now you're nothing but an ant, not compared to before. Refuse me again and this will get messy. Ichigo decided to get back in bed so he could rest. He did this mostly because he didn't want to end up dead from testing her patience. The whole scene goes the same until they sense Bukaka's spiritual pressure. The spiritual pressure almost crushed Ichigo's entire body. At this moment, Ichigo's strength started coming back, but slowly. He grabbed the device that he got from Yoruichi and flew off despite her protest. Yoruichi is a woman. She has a male voice in her cat form. The fight between Byakuya goes more one-sided than it was in the anime. Ganju almost got killed until they sensed Ichigo's spiritual pressure. It was way stronger than it was before. Real quick, when someone uses Ultra Instinct, it breaks their limits and makes them stronger than before the more they use it. It gives them a huge boost in power. Most of the scene would go the same for Ichigo arriving and arguing with Rukia. Now let's get to the fight. Ichigo was more confident due to his strength and power. I'm going to defeat you and save Rukia, said Ichigo. All that confidence and pride will be your downfall, proclaimed Byakuya before he disappeared from Ichigo's eye. However, Ichigo saw Byakuya moving for a couple of seconds. Ichigo dodged the blow by a hair. Byakuya was quite surprised by this, however, he just said that he got lucky as he tried it again. This time Ichigo predicted it by instinct and dodged the strike the same way as before. He shielded himself with his Bankai before his enemy could make contact with his flesh. Byakuya was more impressed by how he was strong enough to keep up even though he wasn't even using that much effort. He was starting to get annoyed by Ichigo's power and how he was being forced to exert himself more. Ichigo was learning his flash step at a steady rate and was able to predict him. Byakuya was becoming more and more annoyed to the point he was about to use his Bankai, the second level to his Zanpakuto. Yoruichi saves Ichigo from his demise just like in the story. Let's time skip here. Everything goes the same from this point of the story. Renji is going to change his mind and fight Ichigo again, and Yoruichi is going to take Ichigo away from the battle, but this time he isn't injured, just badly bruised on his stomach. The story goes the same up until Ichigo's Bankai training. Let's go over it a little. While training with Zangetsu, Ichigo is struggling still, but it's even worse than it was in the regular storyline. He was training to find his Bankai sword, but he was trying to see how Ichigo triggered that power he had and if he could harness it. All he knows is that he was fighting like a professional Soul Reaper with a calm and focused mind. He got even more cuts than he got originally. He was being juggled and thrown around like a rag doll. He was pushed to the point of death. He did benefit from this though. He gained more speed, but that's about it. He gained enough speed to the point he was able to adapt to Zangetsu's speed. The story goes the same again for the most part. Orihime Inoue and Ryu Ishida managed to get past Toshimori Yumasada and the rest of the Soul Reapers. Ryu also took down Mayuri Kuratsuchi, the 12th Division captain. The only difference in most of their battles is because of Ichigo's amazing spiritual pressure and the battle between him and Kenpachi. They know that one of the intruders is quite deadly. Because of this, the captain mentioned the fight and told Ryu that he wasn't the strongest and that he'd fight the strongest. After he killed him, he still gets taken to jail just like in the anime. Renji escapes his cell and starts looking for Ichigo to warn him that Rukia's execution will happen sooner rather than later. Ichimaru goes to see Izuru Kira and offers him a helping hand out of jail. Chad, Ryu, and Ganju were in the same cell and their powers were sealed away due to the handcuffs they had on their wrists. They just had to hope for Ichigo and Orihime, who isn't that much of a fighter, to stay alive and break them out. Toshiro told Rangaku to go back without. He decided to go alone to save Hinamori, which started the fight between Toshiro and Hinamori, which then became the fight between Ichimaru and Toshiro. Now, back to Ichigo's perspective. When his time ran out with his Bankai training, he decided to meditate in the bath to calm his mind. While meditating, he was able to sense someone approaching the location. He immediately grabbed his sword ready to defend himself. To his surprise, it was Renji. He came here to train with them. He told Ichigo that he wanted a rematch after they saved Rukia from her deathbed and warned them that Rukia was going to be killed in 18 hours than her normal time in the anime due to how powerful Ichigo is. This gives Ichigo even more motivation as he closes his eyes. He starts focusing his mind to calm himself down from the news he got. After calming down, he was ready to train more so he couldn't fail anymore. We're going to time skip to the point that Ichigo is about to show his Bankai. After being thrown against the ground by Byakuya's petals, Ichigo was on his final leg. Let me quickly notify all the viewers that Byakuya was stronger than his canon self. He was holding back against Ichigo the first time and still is now. He was using his full power against Ichigo. Ichigo was using his Bankai but could hardly get past any of the pedals. He was on his last leg and had one foot in the grave. Even though the smartest thing to do is to give up, he wasn't going to. He knew he was at his limits and couldn't get any stronger. Even though he probably had little to no chance, he had to find a way to win. He tried to calm himself as he got up, trying to charge his power until it happened again. A huge escalation of spiritual energy was coming from Ichigo. Byakuya noticed some weird things about Ichigo. He was now wearing a full white. His hair was flashing white and had the same aura around him. Byakuya was quite surprised that Ichigo had this power within him. Byakuya's mind was thrown for a loop due to him not knowing that Ichigo was holding back this much power and getting stronger more and more. "What the hell are you?" asked the brother of Rukia. Byakuya noticed that Ichigo's voice was different while he was cackling. It sounded like he was being laughed at by a ghost. If this wasn't Ichigo, who or what was it? "I have no name," said Ichigo. Ichigo, or what appeared to be Ichigo, didn't have his sword anymore since he absorbed the power of his Bankai sword completely. Without any warning, Ichigo blitzed Byakuya and uppercutted him in the stomach. It hurt, but it didn't hurt that much. It hurt, but it didn't feel like it wasn't meant for real damage. Ichigo then does the entire Sasuke combo Naruto did at the Battle of the Valley. What the hell is this? He's so much stronger than before. He's the one who fought Kenpachi, said Byakuya in his mind. Ichigo then proceeded to send Byakuya soaring into the air with a spirit pulse energy blast. Byakuya was about to use his Bankai until Ichigo appeared and shattered his sword. Ichigo broke Byakuya's sword when he tried to block his attack. Byakuya tried to punch Ichigo, but he ricocheted his punch upwards and did the 1-inch punch, which sent his enemy flying into the ground. At high speed, every one of Ichigo's friends and their new teammates was dumbfounded to see that he was making easy work of Byakuya. And mostly every Soul Reaper was trying to sense what was going on by locking onto their spiritual energies. They were by the energy signatures that it was Byakuya fighting the same person who fought Kenpachi. He was tossing Byakuya around as if he were a beach ball. Ichigo slowly fell to the ground as he was hitting the cold Ultra Instinct pose with his hands on his side as he started laughing. Byakuya was slowly rising to his feet as he was pretty beat up. He had half of his pedals shield him and the rest attacked Ichigo, but this would prove futile as Ichigo would then charge all of his power into a small powerful ball of energy as he threw it towards the approaching deadly wave of pedals, which burned most of them. Byakuya couldn't believe how outrageous this was to be overpowered by a teenager. The ball engulfed Byakuya as it exploded. When the smoke cleared, Byakuya was knocked out. Ichigo was looking at his hand with a curious look, wondering where he got this power. Zangetsu was surprised by the white Ichigo's power. This was his doing all along. He was glowing the same aura as Ichigo in the real world. He was stronger and faster due to his Hollow and Shinigami powers. But that was just his strength. He has a technique based on fighting using pure instincts to survive and fight. However, we'll get to that another time. Now let's return to the story. Byakuya got back up and was on his last leg. Ichigo rushed at the banged up Soul Reaper with one last strike. However, Ichigo stopped himself before delivering the last strike, but it was not because he wanted to. Ichigo was looking at his hand and saw it convulsing. Ichigo suddenly collapsed with black electrical sparks coming out of him. He was choking on his blood as he started screaming. What the hell is happening to him? Is his power malfunctioning or something? This strange power is new to him. He was forcing himself to do his best against me. It's probably because he hasn't mastered or found a way to control his power one bit. That's the only explanation, said Byakuya as he struggled to hold himself upright with his Zanpakuto. He wanted to kill Ichigo, but he was already beaten, plus he didn't have any strength left to fight. Ichigo lay on the ground as he was bleeding out from his mouth in pain. Byakuya started to make his way back, but before he left he said to Ichigo, "You want to know why I would allow Rukia to be killed? Criminals need to be punished. Once an order has been made, it must be executed, no matter what. That's the rule of the law. As a member of the Kuchiki clan, the need for feelings such as sympathy is pointless. If we're not willing to follow the law, no one will. I hope you live to see another day. I enjoyed this fight a little. You're younger than me, yet you surpassed nearly most of the captain's power-wise. I'll stop hunting Rukia from now on since you won." Ichigo wanted to say something but he couldn't. He slowly passed out from the pain.